Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Trade Stock. I'm your host today, Justin White, and this is weekly update number 33. I'm coming to you guys live in the Grumman Tiger, November 28664. We are ripping back from Scottsdale. I got Tony, co-pilot in here, although he cannot talk on the radios because we're recording this on Riverside and only my headset is hooked up. So we'll be going over a couple big takeaways from the Leanscaper event we are coming back from. Just an incredible event with incredible people and a lot to unpack, honestly. So I'm going to break it out into three sections as I normally do in these weekly updates. Section number one being Simon Sinek. I got to sit down, have coffee with him, and just talk about the landscape industry and talk about his perspective on things. It was an incredible experience. So I'll open up that a little bit. Topic number two is going to be the AI agents, the Agentic AI, what that looks like, and how you are going to be able to utilize Agentic AI throughout the business that you run, whether it's a landscape business or a service business or really any company that has field operations. Specifically, I'll share what Leanscaper is doing to open that up inside their platform. And number three, I'm going to give you guys a quick update on the Kress autonomous mower, the Voyager, level 5 autonomy. We've been testing this out for the last 2 weeks, and we got some great field data to share with you guys. So those are three topics: Simon Sinek, AI, agentic AI specifically, and robotic automation. As these weekly updates normally are, they tend to circle and focus around innovation, around technology, around disruption, which brings me to maybe the most important topic of the week for me personally. We launched our first ever newsletter. So Wednesday, January 21st, which also happened to be my birthday, we launched the Disruptor Advantage, a monthly newsletter that will give you a perspective into the constant evolution and changing world order that is the landscape industry. I've got a couple lessons in there that I have borrowed or maybe studied from people like Clay Christensen, Simon Sinek, and so many others. Mark Bradley, I'm going to feature him, and what we can learn from these leaders in regards to the disruption they've done in different industries. Whether we go back to the late 1800s and study how the revolution of gas-powered and combustion engines changed our world, or how electric equipment is changing our world today. The other tool that I'm going to be providing in that is, well, it's a tool, a strategic tool. And every month I'm going to give you guys a tool that I use in my toolkit to run my business, run my life. And this month in the toolkit is the balanced goals exercise. Less is more when it comes to goal setting. So I kind of go over what to do to set goals and give you guys a one-page download you can download to set your goals for 2026. Okay, without further ado, like, come on, Simon Sinek, seriously? Mark Bradley and the Leanscaper team, big shout out to you guys. Wow, I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to see Simon on stage, listen to him talk about the landscape industry. Him and Mark Bradley had what I would consider a fireside chat, bit of a Q&A over the course of about 90 minutes. And we focused on the landscape industry, which was really special. Before he went on stage, I had the opportunity to sit with him and have coffee with him for about 30 minutes with a couple other landscapers. And he was just really inquisitive. He wanted to know, what is the landscape industry? Why is it so important? Why is there 800 people coming into Scottsdale in the middle of January to learn about landscaping? Because from his perspective, his interface with landscaping is simply the gardener that comes to his house that he pays, whatever, 50, $100 a week to mow and blow his property. He didn't realize the extent of our industry, the scale of some of these companies, and the culture that we've created in our companies. So we got to talk about that. And he was just fascinated about our ability to create a culture when 90% of our team members are not in the office every day. So he works with a lot of white collar businesses that have office places, that have offices where everyone is at 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Well, in the landscape industry, in the service industry, our crews are at the yard for 5, 6, 7 minutes a day, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 20 minutes. But, 8.5 hours, 9.5 hours, whatever you're working, they are out in the field. separated and siloed away from headquarters, away from culture. So we talked about how do you scale culture, not only across a company where most of your team is separated out in the community every day, but how do you scale culture across regions when you have branches in different locations and you have teams operating under different leaders? So that was an incredibly inspiring conversation. And here are the three main takeaways I took from that. Number one is, first off, you don't lead a company, you can only lead people. So focus on leading your people. Instead of trying to lead a company or lead this organization, try to lead the people within the organization and get a little more personal with your leadership instead of looking at it as maybe a corporate duty that you have as a leader of your organization. It's truly people. The second big takeaway I took is your why really should be agnostic to your industry. So if your why is to become the best landscape company in the world, that's not really going to drive things in an infinite world. Your why should not mention your industry, and it should not mention your team specifically. That becomes too constraining and constricting. And so we talked about what's a good why, what makes a good why, what are the components of a good why within a company. And I highly recommend you guys read Simon's book, Start with Why, which will give you more insight, more of a perspective into this idea of having a why in your company. It's not so much about what you do, it's why you do it. The third thing I took away from Simon is, what are you willing to put in? And is your inputs aligned with the goals and the success that you have allocated as your outputs? So, for example, if you want to grow your company from 2 million to 10 million in the next 5 years, but you're not willing to put in the time, the effort, and the focus the business requires, then you're ultimately going to be let down. So he encourages us all to take inventory of our inputs, of what we're willing to put in as a leader, and what we're willing to do and grow to ultimately accomplish the outputs and the outcome that we desire. Now, all of this is pretty basic table stakes, but what's really exciting when you get to talk to someone like Simon Sinek is it becomes extremely real and extremely attainable. No longer are you just looking at a YouTube video thinking, man, this guy has it going on. Like, he has everything figured out. You realize he is learning every single day. And if there's one thing that I can just wrap everything up in, is when I sat down with Simon Sinek for 30 minutes and asked him the questions, he answered my questions with questions. He is a lifelong learner. He's curious. He wants to unpack things, wants to understand how things work. And I believe we all could level up our learning and our desire to learn more. So that's some big takeaways. Now, I have so much more to unpack from the Leanscaper event, and I'll try to do that over the next couple of weeks. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I want to move on to Agentic AI and agents and what's going on in that world, because I do think that's incredibly important. So what is happening right now is we're moving from an AI-based large language model like ChatGPT, where you can go in and you can ask it questions and query it, ask it to improve emails, ask it to do things like, go find me the best restaurant in Scottsdale to take the team out to dinner, for example. Agentic AI is, hey, go find us a reservation for 10 and make the reservation under my name for 8 p.m. tonight. And if the first restaurant you find doesn't have an opening, go to the second and the third until you can find a reservation. Once that's completed, send me the confirmation via email. That's agentic AI versus, I guess, classic AI. What you would do is query it, you get a response. Agent is, go do this thing and come back to me with an answer or a report of some sort. So let's take that and apply it to the landscape industry. Let's apply it to the field. Let's say your enhancement crew is working on a project and it's a 3-day project. Well, they get there in the morning and they do a quick huddle with Lana, with the Leanscaper agent. And they say, hey, Lana, this is the huddle agent. Hey, Lana, this is the plan for the day. We're going to install the base rock that we have, but we need the, pavers delivered tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. We're going to need the cutoff saw for the pavers. We're also going to need the vibra plate. and we're going to need 13 yards of mulch delivered in the afternoon. So whatever else is going on, you can talk into that, mention the huddle. Hey, we're off track, on track on labor hours, whatever's going on. That agent's going to take all the information, and I'll just say it can go in any language, English, Spanish, French, whatever, any language. And it will take that data and then it will populate the work board in the operations office. So it'll actually take the needs of your enhancement crew, the delivery of the pavers, the delivery of the mulch, the delivery of the cutoff saw, and it'll put it onto the delivery board for your operations team. Now that is incredible because now your operations team can be back in the shop, and all of a sudden these boards are being populated based on the huddle of every single crew, what they need when they need it. And pretty soon those agents will be able to dispatch our operational needs like our dump truck or our mechanic and anyone else that needs to get out to the job site. It'll give them that information and get them moving. So we're starting to reduce the need for middle management. And before before you guys jump to the conclusion of we're removing jobs in the organization, no, what we're doing is we're elevating our crew leaders to become more of like supervisors, where all they need to do is do the huddle every day and things just show up to the job site because of the workflows you created in the back end. Mid-level management, your opportunity is to grow into a leadership position, grow into a leadership role where you can actually lead the team from a human aspect, from a cultural aspect, instead of just firefighting and dealing with issues all day long. Your job is going to change dramatically. And that's super, super exciting for where this is going. What's going to enable companies to do is go from 2 to 10 million without hiring very many managers. In fact, I was talking to Mark Bradley, and he believes we're going to see a lot of owner operators accomplishing the 10 million in revenue mark without having a management team. Think of that. An owner operator with 1 or 2 people in the office and a bunch of crew leaders doing 10 million in annual revenue because you don't need middle management. And at the end of the day, like, who really wants to be managed and who really wants to be a manager? Like, who wants to constantly be managing people and managing time and managing items? Like, deep down at a human element, at a fundamental basis, first principles, we all want to be leaders, want to be leaders of ourselves and of our team and those we love and care about. So Agentic AI is going to allow us to take our systems, our processes, our people to the next level. And I'm extremely excited for that. Now, I could keep going on the Leanscaper AI for hours. Seriously, there's so much going on, and I'm probably going to have Sean from the Leanscaper team on at some point in the future to talk about it. Sean is their chief product officer, and he's got some really cool stuff going on. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I want to say today before we wrap, and we're getting close to wrapping up, is we are testing out the Voyager, the Kress Voyager, the first ever fully autonomous robotic lawnmower. This has a 40-inch cutting deck, and it is an incredible machine. I cannot wait to show you guys this. More videos, more documentation, more testing. We are cutting lawns actively as of today. Today, our clients' lawns are getting cut by an autonomous robotic mower. Now, yes, we are supervising this product. We are on site. We are taking information, recording data, trying to figure out where it works good, where it struggles, where it's going to run into issues. And so far, we've been extremely impressed. I was expecting a lot of issues, a lot of errors. And honestly, in these open field areas and parks and fields and even some of these median areas that we're trying to mow, this Voyager is crushing it. We've had a few issues in the path of travel where it's going from one lawn to the next and it has to transition through maybe a sidewalk or across a road or down a pathway. We're having some challenges mapping that out, but we're finding a lot of good improvements on it every single day. So we're working with the engineering team at Kress, and they're doing software updates on basically a daily basis based on the feedback and the data that they're getting back from us and a number of other contractors around the country that are testing this awesome piece of equipment. Now, is this the be-all, say-all, you'll never have to mow the lawn again? No. But will it improve your labor variance? Will it reduce your dependency on mowing labor in 2026? Absolutely. It's not going to mow every lawn. We're still going to have some walk-behind 21-inch mowers that we're going to, handle small areas with. But it's going to be out on most of our properties mowing a lot of these larger areas. And it's incredibly exciting. So that's all I'm going to do on that. We're going to do a deeper dive, and we'll post this on our YouTube channel and show you guys a little more behind the scenes. I think you got to see the video to really get a feel of what this thing is capable of doing and what it is doing today for us at Candy Landscaping. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Great weekly update. Again, we're documenting our journey to $1 billion in revenue over the next 10 years, Vision 2035. Excited to take you with us. If you're not signed up for the Disruptor Advantage email newsletter, sign that up today. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Go ahead and click the link, hit subscribe, and I'm going to have that going out at least once a month. I might try to get one out every other week. We've got so much content to put out. So if you're following this weekly update, be sure to sign up for that Disruptor newsletter, the Disruptor Advantage. With that, I'll end it there. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic week. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.